Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so wonderful to come together tonight during Chol Hamoed Sukkot, during this time of Sukkot and celebration. It is one of my favorite holidays because on this at this time of year we are actually commanded to enjoy ourselves, to celebrate and to rejoice. And tonight we have many reasons to rejoice. In particular, it is a fabulous time for our congregation every time that a young adult comes onto our bima to take their place amongst the Jewish people as a bar or bat mitzvah. And so, Bob, we are so delighted to have you join us this entire weekend on the bima to celebrate this wonderful time.
You know, Rabbi, this might be the first time I've seen Bob without a cap on.
This is the first time we've seen her without a baseball cap on. But I heard that baseball caps actually work as kippot, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Oh, her mother said no. So during Sukkot, we read special verses, not just from the Torah, but from the Bible itself. And we read words by the great philosopher, turn. Oh wait, no, that's not the part from the Bible, is it? We read from Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season, a time for everything under heaven. And this is the time to be joyous. And so, Michael, if you could...
Actually, look this way.
Oh, Cantor. This just seemed kind of like a Michael kind of thing.
Michael will also be singing.
Okay. So I know most of you know the words. Please join it. It's not in the songbook. It's just going to be in your heart.
To everything turn. There is a season, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn. There is a season, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn. There is a season, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace. A time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn. There is a season, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven.
Cantor, you looked confused when I looked at you. It was because you were saying there was a time to refrain from embracing. And it's just sad because...
Oh, I thought you were telling me that we needed to finish.
Well, I know better than to ask you that.
I thought, uh-oh.
No, it just...
Well, then let's keep going.
No, that's okay, we're good. So I want to give everybody a chance before we welcome in the Sabbath bride of the Lecha Dodi to welcome one another. If you are joining us on YouTube, please take the time to introduce yourselves, to greet one another online. And if you're here in person, all the better. Turn around and say hello and to introduce yourselves to the people that you're sitting near. And assume they don't know your name or who you are because you're wearing a mask.
That is the truth. That's...
Uh-oh.
we continue with Lecha Dodi on page 138 of our Sidurim, and we'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Please join us.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabla. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach, Shamor v'zachor, b'dibur echad, Ishmiyanu Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet, elitehila. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh miked, nesucha, sof ma'aseh, b'machshavat tefila. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach. Hitoreri, ki va'orech, kumi ori, uri, shidaberi kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.
Boi v'shalom hateret ba'ala gam b'simcha utzola toch emunei am segula boi chala
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.
It is my pleasure to invite our bat mitzvah, Bob Herman, to come and join us on the bima, and to come with her mother, with Anna Molander, to do us the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles on this weekend of your becoming a bat mitzvah. The candle blessing can be found on page 120, but first we continue with Shalom Aleichem on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Amen.
Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise for the Baruch Hu as we continue on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 148 together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We continue on page 150.
Ahava Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Amcha Ahavta Torah tu mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Otan limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachpeinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bekukecha V'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha U'mitzvotecha ve'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem Nege yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha al tasir Mimenu le'olami Baruch atah Adonai Ohel Amo Yisrael Ohel Amo Yisrael Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Elohim, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובקשריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue together on the top of 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוספת, נורא תהילות אוספת, מלכותך ראו בניך חוקי הים לפני משה שאלינו ואמר אדוני ימלוך לעולם בעת די 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Of all of the prayers in our prayer book, there was one that reminds us each and every night of one of our sacred festivals. The Hashkivenu on page 160 harkens to this holiday, to the festival of Sukkot. When our ancestors dwelled in the desert, after our people fled Egypt, we're told that each and every night God would provide for us a shelter to sleep in, that we didn't have the means or the ability to provide shelter for ourselves, and the Holy One would provide huts to protect us from all the dangers in the night. That is also what the festival of Sukkot reminds us of. It reminds us of not just in ancient days when we did not have shelter, but also reminds us of all the people now who also suffer from that affliction, who each and every night lay down their heads, afraid of what the night might bring. And so as we pray the Hashkivenu, and in particular the words that can be found on page 160 on the third line down in both the Hebrew and the English, Ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha, spread over us the shelter of your peace, O God. Just as we pray for God to help us, the Torah reminds us that God did this for us so that we may help others. And so as we go home tonight and we pass by the way too many people who are sitting on the side of the road, let's ask ourselves, what can we do so that they too can lay down their heads with a sense of an ufros aleinu, that we should put a shelter of peace over them. We continue on page 160.
Ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot, shlomecha, ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot, shlomecha, yalai lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai, lalai lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai, yalai lalai, lalai, ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot, shlomecha.
Please join us as we continue together on page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם בני ישראל, השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם בעולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בעולם.
Please rise for the tefillah beginning on page 164. We continue praying privately from page 172 through 180, either standing or sitting as is your custom. And just a special note, because we're in the middle of the festival of Sukkot, there's a special reading on page 174.
Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri Begoali, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri Begoali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the word of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock and my redeemer. You ratzoni mrefi, only be. You ratzoni mrefi behegyon, libi lefanecha.
Our thoughts and our prayers now turn towards those in our lives and in the world who are in need of healing, either healing of body or healing of spirit. But as always, it's important to remember that while prayer is good and prayer is important, prayer is only the first step. It's good for us to pray for those who are ill, but it's even more important for us to reach out to them, to offer comfort and love and support, or even a little chicken soup. And so, as we pray for those who are in need of healing, think about what are the things you could do for your loved ones and friends who may not be feeling so good, whose feelings may be somewhat down, or fighting a cold, or God forbid, something worse. Think about the ways that you might reach out to them between this Shabbat and next. We continue on page 371.
Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer.
Hear our prayer. And bless us as well.
Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach avotenu, Mi sheberach imotenu. Hear our prayer.
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 Hear our prayer. And bless us
As well.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Ryan, I realized I don't have a handheld mic. Do we have a handheld someplace? Well, I was thinking I can maybe ask Blair or Judy. You want to run around? Okay, I was going to have Blair or Judy do it. But you're welcome to. You're younger than all of us. Yeah. So tonight, I thought we would do a little Ask the Rabbi Cantor Michael. Yeah, don't sit down. Okay, you guys are going to get comfortable. You'll get questions. So for those of you who are new or are visiting us or who are with us for the first time online, every now and then, instead of a formal teaching or a sermon, because after the holidays, a lot of people are a little sermoned out, we do what I like to call Ask the Rabbi. But we also like to ask the Cantor and Michael. So this is your guys' chance to ask us whatever you want that is appropriate. And after a few years, I've learned that you have to add the words that are appropriate. I also know my brothers are watching, so it's very important to add the words appropriate, not because they're watching, but because they like to ask questions. And so if you have questions and you're joining us online, I could read the questions from the chat, so feel free to put something on in there. And if you're in here and you have a question, just raise your hand, and Ryan will go right over to Blair and have him ask the first question. Let me grab my water.
Okay, this is a combination question, so I'm not sure which one of the three of you is going to answer this, but it's something that came up because I did a course on Yiddish theater, and then we watched this movie the other day, and I noticed that Kol Nidre, the song itself, is used frequently both on stage and in film, and they also did, what did they do? Sholem Aleichem, the one we do in the movie. So what is the rabbinic or the cantorial feeling about using songs of this weight in entertainment?
Oh, what's our feeling about them using it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going in a different direction.
I thought he was going in a different direction, too.
Should we answer the question we wanted or the question he asked? Okay, I'll go first. I'm going to ask, I'll ask both, answer both. First of all, I'm not surprised because it's a highly evocative prayer. And it's a prayer that I would say more Jews know than not. In part because Yom Kippur is a highly attended day. So for Jews who don't go to services any other time of year than the high holidays, Kol Nidre is going to be something that will be evocative, and it's emotional in its nature. It is also a great way to highlight the voice of a singer, because it's a very difficult, or so I've been told, because I've never tried to chant it, but it is a very difficult and challenging melody. So if a singer really wants to show off, that's a great song to sing, which is why you have Kol Nidre, like I don't understand why, but on popular albums, like Barbra Streisand has sung Kol Nidre. What's his name? There have been other like popular versions. I don't understand popular versions of Kol Nidre, but there have been others.
Danny Thomas.
And known for his singing skills, apparently. So it's emotional and evocative. So I would assume that's why it's in there. How do I feel about it? You'd have to show me the movie. Because I think it's actually wonderful when Judaism is portrayed accurately. And I think that, like with any minority culture, when you see your culture being portrayed on screen, you kind of hold your breath to see, are they going to butcher it? Are they going to do something inappropriate? And if it's done correctly, then that's great, because the more education we have between different communities, I think the better it is.
Yes. Actually, Kol Nidre has been used in many different ways. So we love every year that we have a beautiful cellist, Susan Lamb-Cook, who plays. But what she's playing was never meant for the service. It was written as a performance piece out there. And a lot of what goes on in that piece is not part of the Kol Nidre that's actually chanted. Otherwise, we'd be here for doing it 3 times. Yeah. We'd be here for 30 minutes. Yeah. So Kol Nidre, I think, strikes a chord, and it's not really a prayer. It's a contract. And that's part of what makes it difficult, because it doesn't speak as a prayer. And I think part of the reason why the music was created that way was to make a connection with the words of the contract that we're asking God to accept and forgive.
Excellent question, Blair. And so now we have one from the chat online. And Megan is asking, Michael, this one is for you. You could choose to answer this, or you could choose to plead the fifth. The question is, how old were you when you started singing and playing here at B'nai Israel?
I think I was about 45, more or less. I mean, I started singing in the choir back when my wife Judy was active on the board, and it wasn't Rabbi Bloom at some point came over to our house to talk to Judy about something when she was president, and he heard me plunking away in the corner, and he said, "Do you know any Jewish songs?" My famous line is, "No, unless you count Bob Dylan." And so it was at that point that I started to learn, and then I did my B'nai Mitzvah as an adult at 45, and then I went to camp, Haba Nashira, and then I took a dive into the deep end of the song leader pool, and here I am, still treading water.
And I just want to say, when I got here a few years after you had started singing on the Bima and doing Tat Shabbat, Michael was a celebrity, and the people this tall and shorter, do you remember that? The little kids would see Michael and they'd be like, "Oh, I know." And then they also asked him to play his birthday parties. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. When you got asked to play birthday parties, because he was like very popular.
Now I mostly get it from people over 80.
Not the same crowd.
I think you were younger than you're remembering.
No, I think that's because.
Well, when I did the religious school for a little while.
Yeah, because a little known fact, Michael did the religious school for a very short time. And he sang a song, and I'd never heard it before, and I remember going up to you and saying, "Wow, I really like that. Where'd that come from?" And you always have to be careful what you ask for, because then I'd been singing it for the next 30 years at religious school.
I thought you were going to say you always have to be careful. I thought you were going to say you have to be careful what you ask Michael.
Oh, no.
Which is also true.
Michael was always a wealth of knowledge for fun songs.
So any other questions? Steve Orkand, ask away. Well, as soon as Ryan runs over there. Oh, are you okay, Ryan? Okay.
Stubby.
Does this work? So I'm going to stay with the theme of music, and I would put this out as, since music is such a integral part of our services, both Shabbat service and certainly during the holidays, I guess this is to the Cantor, how would you define sacred music, and given that, what role does that decision play in choosing of music for the services?
That's a great question. Sacred music, as you say, I'll say liturgical music, it's changed. So once upon a time, it really was the cantor's prerogative on how to pray a prayer. And the cantor would do so within the nusach of the holiday, or Shabbat. Nusach is like, you can think of it like a mode. It's not quite a mode, but it's a sound. And it tells people what we're doing. Is it the morning? Is it the evening? Is it night? Is it Shabbat? Is it a festival? Is it a holiday? Is it Hanukkah? Now, because things have kind of evolved, we have a lot of camp music that is integrated into the service. So now cantors get to choose music that speaks not just to them but to their congregation, that reflects the mood of what's going on. There are joyous renditions of Mi Chamocha. There are more pensive renditions. Sometimes modern writers will write within the Nusach, but most of the time, not so much.
So I'm gonna dwell a little bit deeper in what Steve was asking, because I think he may have also been asking a little bit more, because you stayed amongst the Jewish themes of what is considered sacred music, but in the last year and a half, since COVID began, you and Michael have pushed the boundaries a little bit more from where we traditionally the type of music we would traditionally sing in the sanctuary.
Well, and in large part, that's because we don't get immediate feedback. So you all may be turning off your computers and saying, what was that? But we're saying, hey, that was good.
Can I add something to that? Some of you are familiar with the concepts of keva and kavanah. And I would say that any prayer that you do in a sacred space...
Michael, what's keva and kavanah?
Keva is is sort of the form of the prayer. It's the religious content, the liturgy, that is like the official part of it. The kavanah is the intentionality that you bring to it, whether it's the emotion or the theme that you're trying to, some message that you're trying to convey. And I think in the actual liturgy of the service, we stick to the keva because we always do. That's why it's a seder. It's a kriyat seder. It's a form. It's an order. It's a fixed order, and the prayers always have a fixed content, and they go in a certain sequence. However, the intentionality can change, and that's why sometimes it's okay to substitute a song like I Will from the Beatles for the Ahavat Olam, because both songs are about your love for something you can't see. So in that sense, you've paid reasonable attention to the keva of the Ahavat Olam, but you've added the kavanah. And also, so then when you do an opening song or a closing song, you have a little more freedom to sort of play with the kavanah part of it, the theme of it, and that's where I've been, throwing in these secular songs that hopefully are consistent with the theme of either the sermon or the season, or something that happened in the world. But you have a little more freedom at the beginning and the end than you do with the guts of the liturgy, because you gotta say all the prayers that are part of the service.
I promised our bat mitzvah that she could have the last question. So Bob, ask away.
Hello.
Hello.
So, it is Sukkot, right?
I've been told.
And that's when the more fortunate help the less fortunate. And so I, the less fortunate, am asking a life tip from you, the more fortunate.
Wow.
How do you make your hair look like that?
My hair has never been considered the more fortunate, let me just say. Many tears have been spilled over the fact that my hair does what it chooses to do on any given day and any given hour. And if it lands someplace where I don't hate it, then I spray it to death so it can't move for the rest of the day.
Any other questions? Bob, that's like the last thing I would have thought you'd ask.
I totally did not see that one coming. I thought it was going to have to do with sports or something. I was wrong.
I've been dying to ask that question.
You never know what our kids...
Well, I was asked a question like that once before a few years ago by a student, but it was more like, how do you get your hair to look like that? I liked the way you asked it better.
Wait, I have one last question for you, Rabbi.
Is it
You know
about my
the story of Caleb
What was
when
that again?
Caleb, he goes out into the wilderness and he comes back and he reports that he saw what?
You mean what he saw in the land of Israel?
Yeah,
So Caleb went into the land of Israel and they saw the big people.
giants.
Yeah.
He saw giants. Did he see any Dodgers?
How could you see the Dodgers if you are the Dodgers? Nice try. You're telling me the Israelites weren't the Dodgers?
Wait till next year.
So now it is my pleasure to invite up the president of our congregation, I can't talk tonight. Josh Mastronardi, to give us some Shabbat announcements.
With all the talk about music, I feel like I should sing the announcements.
Oh, please. Yes, yes.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi and Cantor, or Rabbi and Michael and Cantor. It's wonderful to see and hear you back on the Bima. Mazel Tov to Bob on your bat mitzvah. Tonight, after services, we have an oneg in the courtyard. Tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., Torah study on Zoom with Denny Marshall. And at 10:30 a.m., the bat mitzvah of Bob Herman. Looking ahead on Tuesday, next Tuesday, 9:30 in the morning is the Yisker for Sukkot. That's on Zoom. And then at 5:30 in the evening, join us for the Simchat Torah celebration. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be outdoors on the little part of 11th Street right next to our building. There's going to be rejoicing, dancing. I hear there's going to be a talk show. That's going to be pretty fun. Bring your dinner and come celebrate. The confirmation class is going to be selling desserts, treats, drinks, both adult and non-adult, to go towards their trips this year. If you go to the website and look at the Hadashot, all the details of all the things going on are on there, and they're generally kept up to date. And if you're interested in coming into services on Friday nights, space is still available. You can register online. Wanted to give Bob, would you like to introduce your family?
Hello, it's me again. There's my mom. She's in the striped dress.
Does she have a name other than Mom?
No. Her name is Anna Molander. And then, can I announce friends too? All right. And then we have on the right side of the ring, Zevi Pruger, and his mom, Shelley. And then we also have Madeline Zimmerman, George Zimmerman, and their mom. Hello.
I take it she's Mrs. Zimmerman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a delight to be able to see our B'nai Mitzvah families coming into the sanctuary again.
Yes, welcome to all of the family and friends. Now I'd like to ask anybody that's on the board or committee chairs to stand and introduce yourself. And if you're on the YouTube, go ahead and announce yourself in the chat. Well, great to have everybody here, and that's all I have. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And following services, there's going to be a wonderful oneg for those of us here at the temple awaiting us in the social hall. So we continue now with our concluding prayers, beginning on the bottom half of page 586 with the Aleinu. Please rise.
This is actually one of the answers to your question, Steve. So you may have noticed that we've been doing the Aleinu a lot in English, or in English interpretation. And that may seem, why are we doing that? Well, this particular English has really struck a chord during these times that we've been going through. It struck a chord of what what is it that we are supposed to do? How do we partner to create a better way? And every time we sing this Aleinu, I hear it just a little bit differently, and I'm hoping that you are picking up the words. It's up to us to call ourselves to task, to sing what's good and true, to bring about redemption. It's what we were freed to do. For what's the point of being here if we're not moved to change our ways? Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. We are carrying the stories of the ones who came before. What stories will be told of us when we are here no more? We commit ourselves to action. It brings meaning to our days. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. It's up to us to own a vision. We are an answer to a call. It's up to us to live the words we speak for the benefit of all. It's up to us to bow down deeply. There's a broken world to raise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Aleinu leshabeach. It's time to live our praise. Then למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Our thoughts now turn to loved ones who are no longer with us. And it is our tradition at B'nai Israel to welcome into our midst those who have most recently said goodbye to a loved one upon their return to the congregation. And Barbara and Terry, it is with great sadness that we welcome you back into our midst tonight after the two of you losing your very beloved niece, Kyla Allen Grant. There is something unnatural in the world when we lose somebody from the generation below us. And I know that Kyla was very dear and special to both of you, and that the relationship that and the bond that you had with her was something that gave both of you a lot of strength and comfort and inspiration. And so on behalf of the congregation, we extend our condolences to both of you on this very sad and painful loss in your family. We also recall those who've passed away in the last 30 days. And with sadness, we recall the recent passing of Vera Esther Hertz, the beloved aunt of Dorit Hertz and Tevin Laxer, and beloved great-aunt of Gabby Laxer. Also, with great sadness, we recall the recent passing of Craig Deutsch, the beloved son of Sandy Deutsch. And sadly, we recall the recent passing of Merrick Edwin Shaw, the beloved uncle of Sean Rubenstein Ward and Jody Rubenstein Ward. And sadly, we recall the passing of David Guarnica Jr., the beloved father of Jenny Guarnica Silver, and beloved father-in-law of Matthew Silver, and beloved grandfather of Julian Silver. Also, sadly, we recall the passing of Phyllis Pockris, the beloved mother of Radine Citronbaum and Suzanne Dodge, beloved mother-in-law of David Citronbaum and Warren Dodge, and beloved grandmother of Anne and Amanda Citronbaum and Megan and Ellen Dodge. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories forever be a blessing. We also recall loved ones who have passed away at this time in years past. We remember Martha Archibald, Rosario Bahar, Jerry Banks, Helene Bass, Minnie Bernstein, Mary Bulletin, Frank Brilliant, Mary Cohn, Mildred Cahotis, Nathan Davidow, Rose Davis, Harry Diamond, Rebecca Edel, Emma Elephant, Etta Emick, Larry Fitzwater, Gertrude Gluckman, Joseph Grousman, Johanna Gruen, Barbara Hall Critchfield, Albert Hubbs, Marvin Hunt, Ann Kramer, Gertrude Levin, Harvey Lippman, Evelyn Livingston, Bud Morris, Harry Nethery, Sherry Nosler, Henry Oberst, Esther Orkand, John Pavusa, William Penix, Joan Reed, Eleanor Rodden, Mildred Roth, Mary Samaville Cohn, Ruth Sapin Sandberg, David Schoenfeld, Walter Siegler, Dorothy Silverstein, Jeffrey Statnick, Paul Saransky, Wesley Swanson, Jack Tadman, Lillian Weston, Jack Winbrandt, and Emma Young. If you're joining us from home and there's a name of a loved one that you would like to share with us, please feel free to write that name into the chat. And for those of you who are with us, if there's a name you would like to call aloud, please feel free to say that name as my gaze meets yours. If you were saying Kaddish for a loved one tonight, I'd like to invite you to please rise and allow us to offer you these words of comfort. Hamakom yenechem etchem betok sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yushalayim. May God comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We rise as a community to offer comfort to those who grieve as we continue together on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. Be'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaye chon of yomei chon of chaye techol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei tekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. And Michael, because I know that you like to give us musical offerings that help us celebrate the season as well as the times, what do you have for us tonight?
I have a song called There But for Fortune. It was written by Phil Oakes, who was a Jewish singer-songwriter in the 60s, 70s. He died very young, took his own life. I think he felt the suffering in the world so acutely that at some point it was too much for him. But he wrote this song, which I think is along the theme that Rabbi spoke about on the Hashkivenu, that we ask for a shelter of peace to be over us, but when we ask for that, it's in the recognition that there are many people in the world who don't have that shelter of peace. They don't have food, clothing, shelter, peace of mind, safety. And it's important to remember that those things that we have, if we have those things, if we feel safe, if we're not hungry, it's because we were incredibly fortunate. I mean, we earn some of what we get in life, but a lot of it is an accident of who our parents were, what opportunities they gave us, what schools we got to go to. And what Phil Oakes taught us was that when you see someone who's worse off than you, just remember, there, but for fortune, could have been you. Show me the alley. Show me the train. Show me the drunkard who sleeps out in the rain. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There, but for fortune, go you or I. Show me the prison. Show me the jail. Show me the prisoner whose cheek has now gone pale. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There, but for fortune, go you or I. Show me the whiskey, stains on the floor. Show me the drunkard as he stumbles out the door. And I'll show you a young man with so many reasons why. There, but for fortune, go you or I. Show me the country where the bombs had to fall. Show me the city where buildings once stood tall. And I'll show you a young land with so many reasons why. There, but for fortune, go you or I.
Thank you, Michael. So we conclude our service tonight with the Kiddush and the Motzi. Bob, come on up. I'm really hoping it's not wine in here, but you get to drink whatever's inside. Cantor, would you lead us? You got grape juice. Can you lead us in the Kiddush?
I will lead in the Kiddush. Bob, if you hold up the glass.
Nice and high.
Beautiful.
No.
So everyone can see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
לחיים
חיים ושלום.
שלום ורחמים. Yeah.
Your mic's not on.
You guys won't eat this one because I'm touching it. There will be a lovely untouched challah and tastier treats as well, awaiting everybody in the oneg in the courtyard following services. You ready? You can do this with
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
So this one we won't eat because we touched it.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. For those of you at home, I hope you have a lovely oneg awaiting you. And for those of you in here, I look forward to seeing you outside and you could go through either hallway to the courtyard.